Hi, I'm Matt from Secco Wine Club.
I am Piergiorgio Castellani from Castellani family, Tuscany, Italy.
Today we're going to dig deep into Piergiorgio's winemaking techniques and why he uses no chemicals in his wine. Can you give more detail on the use of, or the lack of use of, no use of pesticides, fungicides, and everything else that goes into the vineyard, meaning, in particular, I've heard the term green manure, right? And how is that process used? And can you kind of explain that to our community and what that means for our grapes?
Okay, so just to let you know, when we analyze our wine, we try to look for more than 500 different molecules. All of those molecules are coming from chemicals that are used to, fertilize or to intervene in the production and in the viticulture. So sometimes we try to understand if we have some chemicals coming with the rain, just because you have an airport that is like 20 kilometers far, or you have an industry, or you have some other producer that are producing using chemicals. So you have an effect of bringing some of those molecules in your vineyard. So for us, it's very important to have wine that are zero chemical molecules.
So any trace elements that are coming from distances far away, that's always lab tested and proved.
Sometimes it's not enough that you make a clean viticulture. It is important that you constantly analyze your wine in order to be sure that there are no, we say, deriva effect.
Sure.
Some other chemicals that come from, you don't know. So we constantly make analysis to our wine. We don't want any of those molecules. And I'm talking about more than 500 different molecules that you can find in your soil. But there are producers that just use, my grandfather were not using any chemicals and were making outstanding wines. And I'm just trying to do what my grandfather were doing. During the 50s and the 60s, things changed. The winemaker, growers, farmers' life is very hard. So when someone came and offered them just to cut the corners with some nice chemical product, the farmers immediately get excited and start to use it. For example, in the viticulture, a lot of farmers use herbicides. They use chemicals that burn the grass in the vineyard. But when you use those chemicals that are very similar to what has been used in Vietnam, the napalm, same chemical principle, you just not kill the herb, you kill all of the bacteria, all of their organic elements you have in your soil. And you kill forever. You reduce the vitality of your soil. So you reduce the vitality of your wines, and you reduce the vitality of the wines that you obtain from your vineyard.
Wow.
Same concept. We don't want to intervene in a natural, beautiful equilibrium of the nature.
Amazing. And so, one place in particular that there's a lot of human interference with wine is winemaking.
Yes.
Right? And that's where, we always talk about really two halves of the story. One is agriculture and farming, and the other one is winemaking, right? So once we basically harvest the grapes, everything's going, we basically create our juice, then it gets a little gray, right, in the winemaking process. There's a lot of things that can be done to alter the taste, the texture, the color of the wines that, we don't adhere to here at Secco Wine Club and Apollo 61, thanks to you. But it's being done in a very large format. And, I want to just ask you some questions about that. In particular, if you're looking at chemicals and additives, there's over, and correct me if I'm wrong, over 70 different chemicals and additives that are allowed in the winemaking process. Why don't you use any of them?
I always come back to the same point. It's a question of respect. When you make so much effort to produce quality grape, does not make sense to add to the result of your work, something that changed the equilibrium of what you have done. So the quality born in the vineyard. If you have good grape, the rest of the process is to not ruin the goodness that the nature gave you. So for us, but not just for us, for everybody that produce following a tradition like the Tuscan winemaking tradition, the winemaking process is very simple and very natural. If you come in our cellars, you will find a very simple traditional way of fermenting, filtering, aging, and bottling the wine. Everything must be reduced to the easiest, simpler way of making things. Obviously, we'll use all of the modern technology. We don't want to renounce to the modern technology because this means more control on what you're doing. But at the same time, we don't want to have any kind of impact of something that is not traditional and natural on our wine, in order to not ruin the equilibrium we obtain through cultivating the vineyard in a natural way.
So it's odd to think that simplicity leads to a longer winemaking process, right?
Exactly.
But the quality obviously is the gain from the longevity and the simple process. And if I'm understanding correctly, what's happening is a lot of the shortcuts that are being taken in the agricultural process is then bleeding over into the winemaking process because they are working with a grape and a juice that isn't as quality as what we're producing from you, right? So then they have to use the chemicals, they have to use the different additives to get the wine into a palatable state. Is that pretty much a true statement?
Yeah.
Okay.